Welcome to Inspired by Design, the podcast where we explore the tools, stories, and insights to help you rediscover your authentic self and navigate life with less resistance. I'm Katie Rupert, a former hustle and grind overachiever on a thrilling and messy journey. I love to share what I'm learning and help others in self-discovery using human design. So if you're seeking a way to move forward, let me be your weekly mindset coach and share stories to inspire you to action towards your unique purpose without the force or burnout.
Have you ever looked around and thought, everyone else seems to know how to do life except for me? Well, today my goal for this episode is to help you create doubt. And that's right, I want you to start questioning why life feels so heavy. And my goal is that you could walk away from this episode saying, maybe I'm not broken. And I do want you to start doubting some of the stories that you've believed about why life might feel heavy. My main point is that we don't create this lighter life, lighten your load life by doing less. We create it by carrying what's actually ours and putting down what is not ours to carry. Everything that I share in this podcast, it stems from my personal experience, my journey. It's really my story, my perspective, and the evolution that I've had with the weight that I have carried and the weights that I've laid down, and how my life has transformed and is still transforming. And I have a box full of these tools, that I'm a seeker. I think that's pretty clear, right? And the yoga and the Reiki and the human design and all of the things. But I've always been searching for this answer, like, why is life hard? What is wrong with me? Where did I go wrong? What am I missing? Was this internal question that I've always had. And the funny thing is, I was thinking about how I wanted to share the actual answer that I found, and it's really not about the answer, because I found the answer as a little girl in church. There's this song, and I remember it resonating. I lay it at the feet of Jesus, right? I understood the words, just lay down the burden. But the point I think we all do understand that I'm calling out today is that knowing something and actually living it, those things are completely different. So for years, I confused information with the transformation. I thought, if I just know enough, if I understand, if I memorize it, I'd finally be able to be someone who felt free. But transformation, it doesn't happen because you have the answer. It happens because you finally become willing to lay something down, to change, to adjust, to transform, right? To actually do that work. And if this resonates, as I think it will with many of you, or maybe as we go along today, you'll start to kind of get what I'm saying. The greatest lesson of my life when it comes to the value I have of freedom and being someone who doesn't feel like I'm doing it wrong, or I'm feeling broken, or running away from like trying to fix myself instead of just being who I actually am. Many of the answers that I've got was this girl, me, knowing and thinking that knowing more meant that I was going to transform automatically. And yes, I'm a girl who has lots of answers, many of them, at least. I thought that I was implementing them, but this transformation over these last few years that I've had and who I'm becoming, well, it's the fruit of that work. And one of the key points is the self-love work. Instead of thinking something's wrong with me, learning to get a new perspective, if you will. So there's this old story. I first learned about it in Emotionally Healthy Spirituality. It was a class that I did through my church. This has been years ago now. I went through the class multiple times. They had one on spirituality and one on relationships. And it's a great class. But in there was this Buddhist parable, And I remember it being one of the most prominent things that I took away from the class over all the years that I did it. And it's the parable of the raft. It illustrates the foolishness of carrying our heavy things, our burdens, and continuing to carry things when they're not serving us anymore. So that might be beliefs have served their purpose, or people or things, right? So I'm going to go ahead and read this parable in case you've never heard it. I think it's really powerful, and I like having it and going back to it quite often, because I think we pick up heaviness and we don't even realize we're picking things up. All right. A weary traveler was walking on a long journey when he found his path was blocked by a wide, rushing river. He desperately needed to cross the safe, inviting shore to the other side. But there were no bridges or ferries to be found. Refusing to give up, the traveler spent days gathering logs, branches, and strong vines. He tied them together into a sturdy raft and paddled across those dangerous waters, reaching safety of that far shore. Standing safely on dry land, he looked down at the pile of wood and, feeling immense gratitude for this vessel that had saved his life, he thought, "This raft is wonderful. By relying on it, I was able to cross this dangerous water to safety. I shouldn't leave it behind. I will carry it on my shoulders as I continue this journey." And so he hoisted the heavy wooden craft onto his back, and he began to walk. As he trudged into the thick forest, his path became steep and narrow. This big, awkward raft kept snagging on low-hanging branches and vines. He was exhausted, sweating, and making very little progress, because the very tool that had saved him at the river was now this terrible burden on the dry land. Finally, the traveler realized the mistake. He gently laid the raft down on the forest floor, feeling grateful for its help from the past, but understanding now that it was time to let it go. He walked on, free to move into the woods without the crushing weight on his back. It got me again. It's exactly what I wanted to share today, and maybe I could stop the podcast there, but I like to talk, so we're not doing that. But the raft represents the tools, the beliefs, the teachings, the dogmas, the methods that we use to remove suffering could also be the tools that cause us suffering. And I really think that if we make any one tool and give our power to the tool of what, that's the thing, that is how idolatry happens, right? Like, if I give my power to the thing, then I'm not trusting, I'm not actually believing, I'm putting my faith in things, right? So there's a danger in attachment, right? The traveler wasn't building the raft so that he could cling to it the rest of his life. The purpose of the raft was to help him in that circumstance, that stage. But if we keep clinging, it makes it terrible. It's important to be mindful, or to check, what needs to go. And that's one of the cool things about the intention setting that we do around the full moon. Let's illuminate our life, and let's see, where are we carrying a raft that's too heavy? It's a burden. And being willing to say, thank you for serving me, and let it go. This is a skill that we all need to get really good at, so that we don't have those attachments that become toxic. And quick plug, if you listen to this right away, I have our July moon workshop is coming up on the 2nd at 6:30. All right, so the reason I love this story so much, it reminds me of the things that once protected me, the things that became exhausting. It wasn't serving anymore. The problem wasn't the raft, right? The problem was carrying it after it did its job. So the question is there anywhere in your life that you're still carrying a raft? This could be a belief. It could be a habit, right? Like, some things that are good have to go in order to remain good. It could be an identity even, an identity or a coping mechanism or a habit that really was beneficial. It kept you safe. Maybe it kept you alive. Maybe it served you and it was the best option at the time. And maybe it's even, that very version of yourself, your identity that got you here. It doesn't mean that is the way that you get there, wherever there is, whatever the next step, the next evolution, the next layer comes off. Another image does come to mind. I just recently had some spider plants that outgrew their little pot, and every plant that's healthy, it eventually needs a new container. So it doesn't mean that the plant or the pot itself is bad and you need to throw it away and think that it was terrible. The pot isn't useless now either. It might serve someone else, or it might still be valuable in another reiteration, right? I can reuse it for something. It was exactly what the plant needed for that time until it wasn't. And the answer is not to force that plant to stay small or to suffocate and die because, if you outgrow the plant, that means your life is over, right? No, it literally just needs a bigger container so it can continue to grow. And so I ask you again, what are the things that you're carrying around? What are the tools that you've been relying on and going back to over and over and over that just aren't working anymore? This has happened countless times in my life, from practical things like, mom's breast milk stopped being enough to keep up with my growth. I outgrew my toddler clothing, right? In school, I memorized facts to get good grades. And I thought that was learning until I realized, I need to learn how to problem solve, and I need conflict resolution, and I need to know how to get along with people in relationships, and I need to learn things that are going to help me move forward, not just facts on pages. Part of my growth was learning about imperfection, so not even having the right answer, but learning how to live and hold like two things true that feel like they are opposing, right? So as we get older, it does get harder. And again, if you're listening to this, I assume you know these things, but it's just, I wanted to call them out today for a reason. Sometimes these questions begin, is this friendship right? Is this the right community? Is this the right friend group? Is this a community that I can continue to grow with? Have I outgrown this partnership, this relationship, this job, this religion, or the structure that I'm being called to step outside of? Like, these things can be so heavy. And here's my point. When we try, or we have a belief that because it served me once, I have to keep it with me, those words are burdens. The big one for me is that when things get heavy and I start thinking, well, I can't let that go because it did serve me. If you're still believing, or especially if you are still looking to others to tell you that it's okay or that you're okay, it's always going to feel heavy. And that is part of the thing that I'm here to support. Like, one of the steps that I've personally taken is I've started to let go of things that no longer serve me. And it's a practice. It's not going to be something that I have to quit doing or that I get and now I'm fine. It is a consistent practice. And one of the tools that I have been learning lately for an introspection and I've been using tarot to work with my higher self, right? So, hey, Katie, for your highest good, in your inner spirit, the part of you that's beyond your brain, the part of you that's been with you your whole life from childhood, and the part of you that's already in the future that knows where you're going, who you are, what your full desires are without the brain getting in the way, without the heavy burdens that you haven't noticed to let go of yet. Show me what I need to know. And lately I've been getting the same card over and over, and it's the 10 of Wands. So if you're not familiar with tarot, it is, again, a self-discovery tool, an introspection tool, and it can be a divination tool as well. So I use it with my higher self and any spirit guide that I might have that I welcome, right? So this card It is, and the deck that I use is from Chris Ann. It's the Light Sears Tarot. So in my deck, it is this yak, a big mountain is depicted. I wonder if I can share my screen on here. I'm not sure if I can, so I might have to just have a picture. I can put this in the Facebook group even. So the Ten of Wands is this woman. She's got a raincoat on. The wind is blowing. She's got a yak next to her with a whole bunch of stuff on it, and she's trying to carry 10 wands, okay? And this card's meaning is that you're taking on too much, that you have a burden, that your responsibilities are overtaking you. And this card gives you a chance to understand why you're taking on so much. So now I've got it pulled up on my screen. I'm going to read this as well. The Ten of Wands overview. The Ten of Wands looks up to the last mountain that she has to cross. She winces. Her back is sore. Her boots are killing her. And she's been carrying her stack of wands alone for days. One look at the top of that mountain and she realizes she has to do something about this heavy load. She's overwhelmed with these stupid sticks, even though she loves most of them. She is so done with carrying everything right now. They have become complicated burdens to lug around, and she seriously overextended her muscular prowess. But the finish line, it's so close. And these wands absolutely, positively need to get there before the sun goes down. And she considers her options. She could struggle all the way up the mountain. She could leave some. She could come back later. Maybe that's not a bad idea. She even considers leaving some of these wands for good because she's probably taking on too much. And it's probably time to cull her collection. Also, not a bad idea. Her foot throbs, and a friendly little yak comes around the bend just in time. "Salvation, how much?" she asks, hoping that he'll agree to alleviate some of her strain. And he responds, "Sweet child, I would love to help. All you had to do was ask." And the message of the wands, all those responsibilities, do you really need to carry them all at the same time? The Ten of Wands is telling you to streamline because you're so close, yet you're so overburdened. Prioritize, get help, organize. Systematizing your life right now will help you reach your goals much faster, and it will bring relief to any overwhelming or molasses energy that you could be feeling. Drop the non-essentials. Leave the heaviness that is weighing you down. Look for ways to bring levity into your day. Sometimes this means letting go of a learned behavior, limiting belief, or sometimes it literally means deleting a task on your calendar. You're likely missing the breadcrumbs of serendipity because you're so intensely focused on what you already have in your hands. Whether your burdens are material, spiritual, literal, or energetic, it is clear that you have extra baggage right now. Let it go. It's time to lift your spirit by releasing that, it says ish, and enjoy your last steps to that finish line. What I got from that, when I pull this card is like, do I really want to push through again and force and be drained and be overwhelmed and burn out? I mean, for me, I became a high achiever. I was a hard worker. I tried harder. I hustled harder. I was a people pleaser. I wanted to keep performing. I wanted to become, evolve. And I honestly lived in the limiting belief that my value came from what it is that I produced or what I could prove to you. And I kept thinking, if I just am a little better, I'm going to feel like I'm enough. But I never actually questioned the system or what I was carrying. Like, where did this weight come from? Right? Eventually, the big aha was asking a different question. And through, I think life coaching was one of the tools that first gave this to me. It's like, what if nothing has gone wrong? What if it was okay that you felt this way? What if it was okay for you not to do that or to go to that or to make that meeting? What if you just showed up and didn't prepare? These questions. What if you're not broken? What if it's not supposed to be hard? What if it's not life is supposed to be easy? What if it could be easy? What if burnout and overwhelm and self-sacrifice were not badges of honor to tell people about and be excited for. And so what if I've simply been carrying something that's not mine? Maybe it was mine and now it's not. So I know that all the tools in my toolbox are not the ones. None of them alone are the key, but I will say that the fresh lens of human design and the fresh approach that it's given to so many people, like, I was a coach before, and I have this team of leaders that I feel like, of course I helped them. But the fresh approach that human design gives them, it helps them discover their role. I love that human design gives you the perspective of experimentation. It's not a hard and fast rule to live by. It's not the rule book, right? It's the opposite of that. It doesn't demand you have to believe in this human design thing. You have to know all your gates, and you have to know your energy type, and you have to live by it. It doesn't want to be a black and white answer. It doesn't need to be like your new idol. It just asks what happens, in pure curiosity, what happens if you just try being more yourself? What if you stop forcing? What if you stop comparing? What happens if you stop trying to be someone else? Even if that someone else is who you used to be, right? Instead, discover the role that you are already designed to play. So for me, this question is what really made a pivot. Human design simply says, know yourself. Know yourself. Experiment with a new way. Put down and clear out what's not yours, and consider trying a new way. And then it just says, it's up to you. Does it lighten your load? In my coaching program, I like to use this fresh approach, the lens of human design, just like in this podcast. And we look at what tools fit your energy, your personality, the way that you get clarity. I won't hand the same exact blueprint to everyone, or one that you've gotten before. And the reason that I'm able to do this now is because I've been able to begin laying down things that are not aligned with who I am, where my energy wants to go, what my personality role is. And I have made some of these shifts in experimentation with myself. And what I'm finding, and what I keep getting the feedback from my clients, right? I see them transform and just feeling ownership over, like, wow, decisions are easier. Wow, life isn't quite as hard. And it's never perfect, right? But I've decided that it's time to relaunch my coaching program. As a manifesting generator, I go where the energy wants to go. I have great ideas and lots of things that work, and I have so many fun tools that I want to use and share with the world. But I have to wait until my energy wants to go there. Otherwise, they're just good ideas. And it's very similar to the concept that I shared with you. I'm not trying to add something to anyone's life. I don't want to give you a new rule book. When it comes to coaching, when I'm in the right place and I have the energy to share it with others, I do it in a 6-week container program, because I want to equip you and help you find you, and then you got to go practice it. Let's use the training wheels, let's get some coaching, let's get some help, let's figure out what tools are going to serve you as you start to unburden, as you start to lighten your load, and start to actually move with the things that you are meant to be carrying. Those things are meant to be light. Those things are meant to be, like, dare I say, fun and enjoyable. Like, I want you to love your life. So in the program, we work to figure out what tools actually fit you. So is it Ayurveda that helps you care for your body without the cookie cutter rules on this is what you have to eat and this is the exercise you need? Inner voice that helps you hear exactly what's going to balance your emotional state today in real time. It might be yoga or Reiki or breath work, because you're so in the head, you need to get in the body. Even though we have beautiful minds, maybe that's too overloaded and you don't need that. Maybe it's simply some coaching that helps you figure out, okay, what's the next right step that's not going to make me feel burdened or blow up my whole life with new rules, or give me too many routines that I can't carry, and then just makes me cycle back to thinking I'm not good enough, or I'm broken, or what's wrong with me, why can't I change? It's all about discovering the weights that were never yours to carry. And I'm ready to partner with a handful of people to help you find those tools and explore lightening your load so that you can answer what belongs to me and what is it that I can finally put down, and not answering that from your mind alone, but with your whole authentic self. And your story might be a lot like mine. If you're a high achiever, if you're a people pleaser, if you keep trying, or you're waiting for like the savior to come in, right, to make you feel better. If you're having an unhealthy relationship with self-improvement, I didn't realize that all that trying and the well-intentioned effort was actually leading me to the conclusion that I was broken. Surely something's wrong with me because I know all the things. I know all the right ways to be, but I'm not doing it. I must not be self-disciplined. I must not be okay. But I am really glad that along the way, I stumbled upon some doubt. And I got curious that what if nothing has gone wrong? And so I'll leave it here to contemplate. Maybe you're not broken. Maybe you've simply spent years trying to play someone else's role. And maybe there's a lighter way. So over these next 2 episodes, we're going to explore exactly how human design can give you some insight into the unique role that you and I and each of us were naturally meant to play. And then on Friday, July 24th at 1 o'clock Central, we are going to be having a webinar type. I'm going to do a free masterclass called Lighten Your Load, Step into the Role You Were Designed to Live. And we'll dive deeper then into human design profile lines and how understanding your unique role will create more ease and more authenticity and more flow in your relationships, even your marketing, your business, but just your everyday life. So if anything resonates from today, I believe it's for a reason. And I just want to invite you to join me for that free masterclass for these next couple of episodes. And I also have opened back up the wait list for the Lighten Your Load journey. That's the 6-week coaching experience that I'll be launching late summer. But just before we finish, I'd love for you to spend just a couple minutes on reflection. Where is it in your life that you are working hardest to be accepted? And if these things, if your life had a mountain that you had to climb, what are some of the heavy wands that you have been gripping onto and holding? What is the raft that you're trying to take into the wilderness where there is no water? Can you answer who handed those things to you? And are they still yours to carry? If you want to share your reflections, I have a private Facebook group called Inspired by Design with Katie Rupert, and I'll have that as our discussion question. So if you want to be part of that vulnerable conversation, I invite you to be part of that in our little community. But I hope that you'll at least spend a few minutes just to answer it for yourself. Really consider, get curious. What is it that you're carrying that you no longer need to? What's heavy? What is your burden? Okay. Maybe life isn't asking you to be someone new. Maybe it is just asking you and inviting you to come home to who you are and who you've been all along. And we just need to lighten the load, All right. That's it for this week. I can't wait for our next podcast. I can't wait to have this conversation with you. And check out the show notes if you do want to get on the wait list or sign up for the free masterclass. All right. Till next time.
Thanks for tuning in to Inspired by Design with Katie Rupert. If today's episode sparked something in you, I'd love to hear about it. Share your takeaways, subscribe, or even leave a review to help others find the show. For more tools and insights, visit my free Facebook group. And until next time, keep embracing exactly who you are and move forward one inspired action at a time.